I always knew I was different. Not in a special way, just different. The kind that makes you pause when your mother walks past without looking at you. The kind that makes you shrink into shadows, while your younger sister shines in the center of every room. My name is Amara. I'm the first daughter of the Ikemba family, or so I was told. We lived in a beautiful home tucked in the quiet edges of Enugu. Our family was respected, even envied. My father, Chief Emeka Ikemba, a prominent business mogul. My mother, Ifoma, elegant and gracious in public. And my younger sister, Zara, perfect. Zara was the golden child. Her laughter rang like music. Her curls always smelled like hibiscus. Wherever she went, attention followed. My mother doted on her, brushed her hair lovingly, packed her lunch with handwritten notes, called her my angel. Meh. I was the mistake. Even the help noticed. Auntie Ronk once pulled me aside, eyes darting toward my mother's closed door. Just do your best, Amara, you get why. Sometimes, love go skip one child. But I didn't want love to skip me. I wanted it to wrap itself around me, the way it did Zara. I wanted to be seen, held, heard. But I learned early that some wishes fall on deaf hearts. There's a kind of ache that sets in when you realize the people who are supposed to love you don't. It's not like a sharp pain, it's slow. Like water wearing down a rock. And with every overlooked smile, every harsh word, I eroded just a little more. One night, I overheard my mother on the phone. No, I don't care what she finds out. She won't be able to do anything about it. Not while I control everything. I never knew who she was talking to, but I knew somehow she meant me. When I was 9, I accidentally broke one of my mother's porcelain plates. She didn't yell. She smiled, a quiet, cold curve of her lips. Then she told the house girl to lock me in the store for the night. No dinner, no explanations, just darkness. I cried, I screamed, no one came. The next morning, she acted as though nothing happened. Zara, what would you like for breakfast? Darling, she asked with warmth I had never tasted. I stood in the doorway, dirt on my dress, hunger in my bones. Not a glance. That was how it always was. Silent punishments, glaring favoritism. My father, away on business most of the time, only saw the painted version of our family. When he was around, my mother played the role of nurturing wife. She spoke sweetly to both of us, but always with something missing in my direction. He didn't notice. Not then. I learned to disappear in plain sight. At dinner, I chewed quietly while Zara giggled and mother complimented her. During school events, I stood in the back while they took pictures together in front. Every time they posed, I felt like I was watching a show I didn't have a ticket for, even though it was my family on the stage. Once during a school play, I was given the lead role. It was the first time I saw my father tear up. My mother didn't attend. Later, she told me Zara had a stomach ache. The next day, I overheard her telling a neighbor, Amara, she's not really one of us, you know. I froze, I wasn't really one of them. But what did that mean? Zara's 10th birthday was a grand affair. Tense, live music, a magician. Designer cake, custom-made dress. My 13th birthday came 3 months later. I got a used cardigan, wrapped in yesterday's newspaper. And I knew deep in my gut that I was unwanted. But what I didn't understand then was why. I tried to win love, I studied hard. I cleaned the house, I cooked when the cook left. Nothing worked, my mother's eyes never softened. Her words never sweetened. One time, Zara fell off a swing and scraped her knee. Our mother flew to her side like lightning, screaming, calling the driver to start the car, tears pouring down. When I once fainted from a fever at school, no one came until 8 p.m. Sorry, she said flatly, I was busy. Busy. I was a footnote. I remember one evening, during a thunderstorm, Zara was cuddled up on the couch, wrapped in our mother's arms. Sipping hot cocoa, I stood in the hallway, soaked from running home in the rain, because I missed the school bus. My mother glanced at me, then turned back to Zara. Not a towel, not a question, not a single gesture. But something changed when I found a torn piece of paper in the kitchen bin later that week. It was a letter, addressed to Mrs. Ifoma Ikemba. From a lawyer, the first few lines read, in regard to your agreement with the orphanage, regarding child placement, and falsified documentation. It was only half the page, but it burned itself into my mind. It started with a school assignment. Zara's biology teacher asked everyone to bring in basic family health data, blood types, allergies, medical histories. I was in SS2 then. Zara was in JSS3. One night, she came into my room with a puzzled look. Amara, what's your blood type? O+, I replied. She blinked, but Mummy is AB. And Daddy is A. That's not possible, is it? I shrugged, maybe I got it wrong. But I hadn't. I knew my type. I had seen it on my hospital file the day I got a tetanus shot. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept looking at our family portrait. Zara between them, smiling bright. Me beside my mother, who held my shoulder stiffly. I wondered how many other things were lies. The next day, I searched our old photo albums. My baby pictures started around age 1. Zara's began from the day she was born. And that's when I noticed something else. The woman holding me in the first picture wasn't my mother. I broke into my father's study for answers. Tucked in the back of a drawer, I found 2 files. One labeled, Amara Adoption Papers. The other, Zara Birth Certificate. My hands trembled. I wasn't their child, at least not hers. The adoption papers were from a small clinic in Nsukka. My biological mother died during childbirth. My father, Emeka, was listed as my real father. Zara's birth certificate told a different story. She was born 6 months after my parents' wedding, but the father's name section was oddly blank. I stared at it for a long time. Then I noticed something stranger. The hospital listed on Zara's birth certificate didn't exist. I searched it online, no records, no address. Fake. That's when I realized this wasn't just favoritism. This was a cover-up. A deep, orchestrated lie. And I was the only one who could bring it to light. I waited until my father returned from Abuja. The morning was quiet, the air thick with harmattan dust. I waited until my mother and Zara left for a wedding. Then I walked into my father's study and placed the files in front of him. Daddy, I need you to read these. He adjusted his glasses, casual and unassuming, until his eyes caught the first page. At first silence, then confusion. Then his hands began to tremble. What is this? He asked, his voice strained. My adoption papers, and Zara's birth certificate. He read and reread. When he got to the empty father field on Zara's document, he froze. She told me, he began but couldn't finish. I nodded. She lied to both of us. When my mother returned later that evening, she found us waiting. He stood slowly, with the files in his hand. Ifoma, he said, tell me the truth. Who is Zara's father? She didn't deny it. She sat down and looked at me with no remorse. She's mine, that's all that matters. You knew Amara was mine, and you hated her for it. He asked, his voice breaking. She raised her chin. You brought her here like a trophy. The child of that woman. You expected me to raise her like mine. She was dying, he barked. I couldn't let her child go into the system. You agreed to raise her. I agreed to marry you for the money. Emeka, her voice was sharp, cruel. I didn't sign up to be the nanny of your bastard child. Then she said something worse. You weren't even Zara's first choice. I had to make sure she'd come out light-skinned like you to pass the eye test. My father staggered back like she'd struck him. Zara stepped into the hallway and heard everything. The next day, our family portrait disappeared from the living room wall. Zara stayed locked in her room. My father moved into the guest suite. My mother walked around like a ghost queen, still proud but hollow-eyed. Zara cornered me in the kitchen late one night. Did you know? She asked. I shook my head. Not about your father. I only knew the blood types didn't match. She lied to me too, she said. She told me you were dangerous. That you were jealous, she told me. You'd try to steal my place. I blinked. She turned us against each other. Zara nodded slowly, and I let her. For the first time, we didn't feel like enemies. 2 weeks later, my father handed my mother an envelope. Divorce. She didn't cry, she didn't argue, she simply smiled. You'll regret this. Before leaving, she called Zara aside and whispered something. Zara's face turned ghost white. Later that night, Zara told me what she said. She said you were the reason she lost everything. That you're cursed. That if I stay with you, I'll lose everything too. I clenched my jaw. Do you believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore. Zara whispered, but I'm scared of her and scared of myself. My mother didn't leave the country like she said she would. We found out weeks later. She went to stay with a man named Jide, Zara's real father. And Jide was a known con artist with multiple fraud cases. One rainy evening, a call came in. A woman. Amora Ikemba, she asked. Yes. I'm from St. Agnes Home. Your mother, your real mother, had a sister. She's been looking for you. My heart froze. What? She came across your book and recognized the clinic. She believes you're her niece. She thought you died. I agreed to meet her. The woman looked just like me. Same eyes, same high cheekbones. She was tricked, she said. Your mother's name was Uloma. After you were born, the nurse told us you had died. But the paperwork was wrong. Someone paid for it to be changed. I stared. Who? Your father's wife. Ifoma. My father helped reopen the case. The documents, the bribes, the falsified death certificate, it all surfaced. Ifoma had intercepted me out of spite and obsession. She wanted to punish her cheating fiancé by raising his child in silent resentment. But when she learned she couldn't bear children, she struck a deal with Jide. Zara was born. Zara was never supposed to be part of the Ikemba family, but Ifoma forged her into it. Everything unraveled. The truth was more layered than we thought. Ifoma was arrested on counts of document forgery, child theft, and conspiracy. Zara tried to process it all but began having panic attacks. One night, she overdosed. She survived, barely. I visited her in the hospital every day. My father came once and couldn't stop crying. I failed her, he said. We all did, I whispered. In recovery, Zara reached out to me. I tried to end it, she said, because everything I believed was a lie. You still have a chance to build a new truth. I told her, one that's yours. She nodded slowly, but only if you're in it. And I promised I would be. I graduated with honors. My book became a bestseller. Zara enrolled in therapy and joined me in launching Light from Shadows, a foundation for girls from broken homes. My biological aunt became a second mother to me, and my father, finally, became a present one. We visited Ansaka together, and I laid flowers at my mother's grave. Thank you, I whispered, for naming me Amara, for loving me, even for a second. And I walked away from the tombstone knowing that love, though stolen, had found its way back to me. No longer hidden. No longer forgot. I was Amara, grace in flesh. And I had survived.